There are those who hire event planners and those who choose to plan events themselves. If you identify with the latter, then you're in luck. In this module, you will find helpful information to set you on the right track to planning your own seminar, workshop, or exhibition. Primarily, we'll be looking at these events and how they differ from one another. This will help you shape and structure your own custom event with more precision. Before you start planning your event, it is critical that you determine the nature of the event. Is it a seminar, a workshop, a seminar cum workshop? It is of utmost importance that you choose the right description for your event. Your audience wants to know what sort of experience to expect. Misinformation, such as labeling a workshop as an exhibition, for example, may cause your audience to feel underwhelmed or underfulfilled. First, let's take a look at seminars, workshops, exhibitions, and what they mean on a surface level. Seminars are events which are educational in nature, focusing on one or more subjects. A lecture is delivered by an expert in the field, followed by a discussion or question and answer session. The subject or subjects covered in most seminars tend to be either academic in nature, motivational, or skill-based, such as web marketing and online trading. Workshops are similar to seminars in the sense that they are also educational. However, a key difference between workshops and seminars is that workshops have a more hands-on element. Be the subject dance, carpentry, or knitting, workshop participants can be expected to learn a skill and practice their newfound skill during the event, with guidance and feedback from the instructor. An exhibition, in the commercial sense, is a trade show which focuses on either the public or private display of new products by companies in a specific industry. Think automobiles and real estate. It is a great opportunity for companies to showcase their products to the general public, or to reveal prototypes to business affiliates and journalists. It's an ideal ground to also scout out new trends in the industry. Now, let's take a more in-depth look at what goes into planning an effective seminar. First, a good seminar has a very clear purpose. Whether it's motivational or skill-based, a seminar should never digress too far from its main topic. Determine for yourself and the attendees the primary and secondary objectives and decide on the outcome you want for the attendees. Is it for them to leave with a new skill? Or maybe for them to have more confidence? A deep understanding of these goals can help you streamline and prioritize the topics you want to cover throughout the seminar. Feel free to share these goals with your seminar participants. Outlining objectives for them can give participants a clearer idea of what to expect from the seminar. Before launching into the topic of the seminar, introduce yourself to the attendees. When introducing yourself, be amiable and humble, but also confident, especially when relaying your qualifications. The attendees want to know that you are knowledgeable on the seminar topic. Also, if it's a smaller scale seminar, consider having the attendees introduce themselves as well. Handouts are great tools for seminars. Surveys or questionnaires can help you find out how familiar your audience is with the subject you're presenting. They also keep participants engaged and active. However, be sure to keep your handouts well spaced out and as concise as possible. You want these handouts to supplement the things in your speech, not distract from it. One handout should take an attendee a maximum of 5 minutes to complete. Keep questions brief and direct. Consider using questions with multiple choices or true or false answers. Along with any handouts you have prepared, a detailed agenda or a minute-to-minute rundown of the seminar should be provided to attendees beforehand or at the beginning of the seminar. This agenda should include topics to be covered and break times. If your seminar is split into parts, it should also list the starting and ending times of the next sessions as well. Go through the agenda with the attendees. It's good practice to follow up your initial introduction immediately with taking participants through the agenda, as it prepares them for their time with you. Your speech is the core of a good seminar, so ensure that you have rehearsed your script and you know it very well. Do also provide moments in your script for crowd interaction. It prevents attendees from drifting off and from the seminar feeling like a university lecture. Familiarize yourself with any slides, visuals, or audio clips you may want to use and know exactly when you want to use them. You should rehearse your script with all relevant technical equipment, such as projectors and microphones, before the day of your actual seminar. This will ensure that the flow of your presentation is smooth and well-paced. Now, let's move on to planning an effective workshop. Due to the heavily hands-on nature of workshops, where attendees can spend more than half the time actively participating, it's important to do an ice-breaking session. This helps attendees loosen up and get comfortable with one another, which is vital, seeing as a workshop cannot be successful without active participation from all in attendance. Try getting them to play a simple game to shake off their initial nerves. Unlike seminars, which can have an attendance ranging from 20 to 2,000 people, workshops work best in smaller groups. A good range would be 15 to 40 participants. It gives you a large enough pool of people to offer unique views while remaining exclusive enough to foster real, meaningful friendships. You can also size your workshop according to the manpower you have at your disposal. If you have 5 facilitators in total, a workshop for 40 participants is possible. If there's only 2 of you, 15 or 20 people is a manageable amount. The right venue is also essential in creating a good workshop experience. Some factors to consider are size and facilities. Your venue must be large enough to accommodate the facilitators and participants, as well as have enough space for any activities you have planned. Be sure to also find out if the venue is prepared with projectors and a sound system. Even if you have no plans to use it, a standby microphone could come in handy. When crafting your workshop agenda, it's best to teach a few things in greater depth rather than rushing through an entire syllabus. You will have to prioritize. Try asking your participants which portions of the workshop they are most keen on learning and which portions they find most difficult. Keep your agenda flexible to accommodate these changes. If your workshop is supposed to run for 6 hours, try building in 10 to 15-minute break times after every hour. Depending on how much ground you need to cover, you can then subtract or add break times where necessary. Don't slash too many minutes off their break time, though. Downtime is vital for participants to catch their breath. During your workshop, you may encounter participants who are nervous about speaking up in large groups of 40 people. This is where breaking people into smaller groups can help. Some people are more comfortable interacting in more intimate groups. Besides that, group exercises are a fun and effective way of allowing participants the chance to form lasting bonds which they will always link back to your workshop. How's that for brand loyalty? Next, let's discuss planning an effective exhibition booth. First, define clear objectives for the staff manning your booth. Quantifiable targets work best in this case. Examples of quantifiable objectives are conduct 50 research interviews or get 200 new leads. These objectives are easier for your team to understand as opposed to vague goals such as to increase brand awareness. Location plays a vital part when it comes to exhibiting. With many other businesses exhibiting at the same venue, competition is all around. Book your exhibition site as early as possible and negotiate with the event organizer for the better locations. If it's within your budget, try to get a central location. If not, opt for a site close to the entrance or exit where there is heavy traffic. When it comes to booth design, use the 3-second rule as a guide. In the 3 seconds that it takes for a visitor to pass by your stand, they should know who you are, what they do, and why they should choose you. Accomplish this by ensuring your brand name and the product you're most known for are visibly advertised around your booth. The staff who man your booth are crucial to your booth's success. Remind your staff to approach visitors with open-ended questions such as, "How may I be of assistance?" instead of yes or no questions such as, "Can I help you?" The goal is to encourage prospects to share their wants and needs. Exhibitions usually go on for at least 2 days, and some last a whole week. Debriefing your team at the end of each day is crucial to keeping track of your goal progress. Find out what tactics worked and didn't work for your team. And at the start of the next day, brief them again and motivate them to go out and do their best. Businesses are only as good as their weakest team member after all. Organizing your own event is not an easy task, as anyone in events management will tell you. Having covered the basics of event planning in the previous module, we will now delve into the nitty-gritty details that go into planning an event effectively. Before anything else, the first thing to do when planning an event is defining your broad goals and objectives. This will help you shape your event program in line with what you want to achieve. Is it to improve community relations, to build a larger donor network, or to start a new movement? Having clear goals will also reduce the risk of wasting your precious time and money on things which are of less importance. Next, you need to come up with a rough program outline. What is the main attraction of the event? What other elements can complement this? Are there performances? How long should the whole event last? Is there a specific theme? This outline is a basic starting point for you to build on with your team. Do keep in mind your target market when crafting your event plan. A mother of two from a lower income household would enjoy events differently than a young working professional. When it comes to events, the use of the technical equipment can either make your show a standout or a dud. Based on your rough outline, list down the technical aspects that come into play. Microphones, projectors, pyrotechnics. Do you have the technology on hand, or will they need to be outsourced? These technical elements need to be identified early on, as they will affect a large portion of your planning. The last thing you want is to face technical difficulties on the day of the event. Once you have a clearer idea of the event you're organizing and the elements involved in it, you'll need to expand your project team. You might want to hold open recruitments or select from a pool of contacts you already have. Whichever it is, try to pick team members who are good at working with other people. Solo players tend to hold teams back. You also want people who are as passionate about the event as you are. They will have a deeper investment in it and are likely to put more enthusiasm and effort into their work. When you are happy with the people you have recruited, start breaking them into smaller teams. Designate specific tasks to each team, such as marketing, food and beverage, talent liaison, so on and so forth. When assigning members into teams, play to their strengths. Someone charismatic, for example, would be more valuable in the marketing team as opposed to the F&B team. The next step is to create an organizational chart. It might seem like a no-brainer, but drawing out a chart and sharing it with your team will keep everyone informed of the chain of authority. It also gives them a bigger idea of where they'll fit in and who they should report to. Another thing to note is that the flow of information should always be flowing from the top of the organizational chart to the bottom, and vice versa. Now it's time to find the right venue for your event. During your research, look for places that are easily accessible. Select a venue which is easily reached by road and not difficult to find. You also want a venue which has facilities such as dressing rooms and meeting rooms available. These will come in handy as storage and rest areas. Think about suitability as well. If you are inviting dignitaries or government officials, look at ballrooms and hotel banquet halls. If you have pyrotechnics, perhaps consider an outdoors venue or a hall which leads into an outer garden area. Once you've shortlisted your venue options, schedule a viewing and bring along 2 or 3 team members with you. This preliminary visit to the venue is a great way to scout out the facilities available. And though the venue supervisor will likely be able to share a measured floor plan with you, it's better to bring along a measuring tape. Do not be afraid to ask questions regarding booking procedures, technical equipment, and any other concerns you may have. Be sure to also take as many photos as possible. From the front entrance to the backstage dressing areas. These photos can be very valuable in getting your team familiar with the venue before the event. Another important aspect when booking a venue is the paperwork. Depending on the event that you're running and the location of the venue, you might need to apply for permits or licenses. If you're unsure of what documents you'd need, the venue supervisor should be able to advise you, or you can contact your city council for information. Cover all your bases and get expert legal advice before signing any contracts too. Planning and strategizing is worth nothing if you do not have an on-site team to execute plans. On-site management is one of the most vital aspects to a successful event. Be sure to assign and secure spaces for the registration to take place and for the catering, if any, to be set up. Also, look into securing parking bays for any VIPs who will be in attendance and, if possible, secure some for your team members, especially the runners or people who travel frequently to and from the venue. A key to a smooth on-site workflow is to have a project supervisor who does nothing but supervise. Delegating extra tasks to your supervisor, such as manning registration counters, is not a good idea. The supervisor should be roaming about the venue and tracking the overall progress of the event, keeping an eye out for anything out of place. Supervisors sometimes have extra tasks thrust upon them due to a few members of the event team taking breaks at the same time. This is especially common when it comes to larger scale events or day-long events. To avoid this, create a rotation schedule for all on-site crew. Depending on the size of your team and the duration of your event, plan breaks for your team in batches of 2 to 5 people at a time, every 30 to 45 minutes. After the event, regardless of how tired you are and your team will be, remember to return the venue back to its original state. Equipment or furniture which has been outsourced should ideally be transported back to the vendor on the same day. This is to avoid extra rental surcharges. The venue should also be swept and stripped of any decorations your team may have installed. It may or may not be stated in your letter of agreement with the venue, but it's common practice to tidy up after an event. Another important aspect is the post-event debrief. A debrief is important to review the success or failure of an event and also to troubleshoot any problems that might have occurred during the course of the project. Traditionally, a debrief session is held with key stakeholders and core committee members. However, it's also advisable to hold a smaller scale debriefing for other members of the team, including volunteers. This smaller session is primarily to touch base with them regarding claims and outstanding payments. All financial matters such as payable invoices and monetary claims should be cleared as soon as possible. Strive to pay off all vendors and suppliers first, then move on to paying individuals. However, you do not want to still be settling payment 2 months after the event. Try your best to keep it to 30 days. If for any reason you need to delay payment, keep them informed. Silence on your part will cause those who haven't been paid agitation, and you do not want them complaining about you or your team. Now that you have a clearer idea of the logistics of event planning, let's go through some quick tips which you should keep in mind. Always communicate your requests and tasks with great detail. For example, avoid using vague terms when setting deadlines. Be specific. 2 p.m. this Friday. Give someone a clear idea of when something is due, as opposed to Friday afternoon. Remember, the more information, the better. Another tip is to document everything. Photos, meeting minutes, contracts. Not only will compiling and documenting be helpful for your team to track progress, but these documents can also be used later on to build a corporate portfolio. The saying, "expect the unexpected," is one which is used often during events because regardless of how smoothly your pre-planning phase goes, there are some things which are unavoidable, such as rain or the electricity cutting off. If something goes wrong, which 9 times out of 10 it will, keep your cool. Take it in stride and find the best, quickest solution. Try to use your foresight during pre-planning to come up with contingency plans for common errors. Events can sometimes bring out the worst in people. In the heat of the moment, voices might be raised and feelings hurt. Whether you're speaking to a subordinate or a superior, always say please and thank you. It may not diffuse a tense situation, but it will prevent tensions from escalating. And people do function best when they know they are respected and that their efforts are appreciated. Common courtesy goes a long way, and events are no exception. For every idea, there will be a time when you have to present it and ultimately sell it. For some, this is a real big challenge because they do not know what to look for when presenting, or they don't know what people look for when presented. Here, in this module, I'm going to teach you how to avoid this and nail an event pitch. To give you an idea of what this module is going to be about, let me tell you the essence of a successful pitch. Preparation is key. Just like any other presentation, preparation will be your strength and force. So, in these next few minutes, you will learn how and what to prepare, and ultimately, what makes a good pitch. Before we go any further, why do you think we need to have a good pitch? Well, the reason why pitching is important is because the competition in the event organizing business is fierce. Anyone with a phone and good contacts can be an event coordinator. Clients are spoiled for choices. They've been approached by countless of event coordinators with ideas and proposals, especially for big corporations. The only way for them to make a choice is to value the coordinators by experience and by a very good pitch. Even when you have $1 million idea, but you can't relay the message, it would work against you. It's easy to fall into the mediocrity trap if you don't know the principles of a good pitch. It is difficult, and it does require a lot of learning, but once you have a good grasp of how it's done, it will be easy for you. When you pitch for a speaking engagement, the first thing you need to talk about is, well, the speakers. They are the highlight of the function, so they are the ones you should sell. When you talk about the speakers, you have to mention why they are chosen, how big their influences are, and their successes. These are the things your client would want to know, and this is how you're going to impress them. In fact, with all these in mind, you can make a better choice in choosing speakers. Think about what the speaker's specialties are. Are they charismatic? Are they insightful? Are they knowledgeable? Are they funny? A funny speaker is always a good idea. Even though for a solemn topic, audiences expect to laugh or even chuckle. It's better if you've seen the speaker give a talk before so that you can sell your experience. After that, you have to talk about their achievements, of course. You must think about their credentials and why they're invited to give a talk at the event you're proposing. Is the speaker someone famous? Has the speaker won many awards? All these things will come into play in determining whether people will come to your event or not. Also, they will decide whether your proposal will be accepted or not. As an event coordinator, what you have to do when pitching is to sell the idea and also sell yourself. You are a big part of the project, of course, and organizers want to know the person who is going to be holding the helm of their project. Coordinating an event is a big responsibility, and the coordinator holds an important role, which is why organizers will only look for the ones who they can truly trust to carry out this duty. How do you convince them that you're the right person? The first thing you need to do is present yourself well. This includes the way you speak, the way you act, and the way you dress. First impression is crucial. When you're meeting the organizers to pitch, you need to speak eloquently and with confidence. Dress accordingly. Find outfits that would instill confidence in you and in the organizers. After that, you have to impress them with what you have in your arsenal. This includes your credentials, past experiences, your specialties, and everything about you that would sell. It's almost the same principle as with applying for a job, so you need to go out there and impress them. What the organizers will definitely look for is your past experiences in event organizing and how successful they were. Here are some vital things that you should think about when drafting your pitch. As mentioned, preparation is key. Not everyone can just go in a pitch and wing it. You're more likely to fumble and give a messy pitch if you are unprepared. First of all, affirm the structure of your pitch. You need to think about how you're going to present your idea. If you think you're not an articulate person, prepare key points in proper sentences so that you wouldn't awkwardly pause to rack your brain for words. Besides, we are far more comfortable with a prepared and practiced pitch. Next, you need to think about the hook. In every pitch, there is a hook. It's an idea that grabs the attention of the listeners and makes them listen through the whole pitch. A hook is the most interesting part of your idea. It is the strength of your idea. It's the wow factor. Ask yourself what it is about this idea that has the potential to make a real impact. The answer to that is the hook. One big important aspect of the event is to have a purpose and objective. There is no event in the world done without a purpose and objective. You must know what yours are. What is it that you want to achieve with this event? Will it leave an impact? Will it improve something? You need to have a clear direction on where you're going with it and why you're doing it. When pitching, you need to know this. Not only that, you also need to know how you can achieve your objectives. Moving on, you also need to know who your target audience is. For this part, you can't be too general. For example, the target audience is women. It's not enough. You need to be more specific and identify which group of women. For example, if you're organizing an event about domestic violence awareness, your target audience should be women who are connected to or directly involved in household abuse. Yes, we would want all women to be involved in this, but when pitching, you need a specified target so that the organizers would know that you have a clear direction on where you're going with your idea. Last, think about what the audience will experience. What will they feel after the event? What kind of changes you're hoping for them to make? The organizers would want to know all of this. Remember, an event is all about experiences. For bad events, a participant may forget what they've learned, but they'll never forget how they felt. Now that you know what it takes to make a good pitch, all you need to do now is be confident and all else will be well. We've discussed how to plan an event and run it. We've learned about how to pitch an event and even explored the structure of a pitch. So now, in this module, I'm going to teach you how to have the seats to your event filled. This involves promotion, which includes groundwork and online. First of all, how soon should we start promoting the event? Well, it depends on the expected turnout. For an expected turnout of 50 to 100 people, it's best that you start promoting at least 3 to 4 weeks prior. This is a principle that you should follow to be safe. Experts with a huge following and influence can do it in less time than that, of course. With their reach and influence, they're allowed to do it. However, there are other events like Success Resources that would start promoting 3 to 6 months prior, even though they are world-renowned. So, even if you're established, it's still a good idea to play it safe. Your promotion should start at least 3 to 4 weeks before the program. Remember, the bigger the expected turnout is, the earlier you should start promoting. What you'll need are promotional tools first. This includes posters, banners, graphics, emails, and flyers. All these are basics for promotion. You can get them from a graphic designer. For the posters, banners, and flyers, you'll need to print them way earlier than the start of the promotions so that you'd have room to make changes should you not feel happy with the graphics. Posters and banners should be up at the venue as soon as they are printed. Moving on to the next step, which is using the right tool to promote. The most accessible of all tools is, of course, social media. Social media presence is very important. So what you need to do first is to have an account in all major social media platforms such as Facebook and Twitter. Create a Facebook event page. It's free and it doesn't take a long time to prepare. A reason why you should use Facebook, other than it being one of the most powerful communication tools available, is that it can allow invited members to invite their friends and share the page. Also, with Facebook, your attendees can check the time and venue conveniently should you not have a website. You can also use the page to address any concerns from the attendees in the post updates. With Facebook, they're allowed to post and comment on posts on your wall, and it's imperative that you reply and communicate with them. An inactive Facebook page doesn't really make a good impression. On Twitter, open an account for your event. This is more about promotion than getting direct response for RSVPs or feedback like on Facebook event pages. So what you need to have for the Twitter account is basic information about your event, but most importantly, a hashtag. You need to come up with a short and recognizable hashtag such as, let's say your event's name is Internet Marketing with John Q. Your hashtag can be its acronym, which is IMJQ. This is so that it is memorable, and also it doesn't take as much space for a tweet. With Twitter, you can still communicate with the audience, but it only allows 140 characters per post. This doesn't really give you the liberty to communicate well. What big companies usually do is that they move the communication from Twitter to emails should there be complaints or concerns. Other than Facebook and Twitter, you can even use a mobile app to promote your event. For example, you can use Eventbrite. Not only can you use it to promote your event, but it also allows your attendees to purchase the event tickets via mobile and online. Eventbrite will charge a certain percentage to each ticket sale you make, but for the dependable service it provides, it's definitely worth it. And if your event doesn't have an entrance fee, then you can use Eventbrite to promote and get RSVPs for free. A promotional method that almost all events use, from a speaking engagement to an opera performance, is early bird pricing. You are, I'm sure, familiar with early bird pricing. It's what we look for whenever there's an event. Getting a lower price for an event ticket just for purchasing it early sure is a good deal. There is no reason for your event to not have an early bird pricing, even if your event is not as big as concerts or festivals. Having an early bird pricing gives the people a sense of urgency, and the chances of making the sales are higher. You can set an early bird pricing by 2 stages, giving discount for early birds and standard pricing for the rest, or by a series of stages. For example, for 7 to 5 weeks early, the price for a ticket is $75. For 5 to 3 weeks early, the price increases a little bit to $90. For 3 weeks to the day of the event, the price is set to standard. You can also leverage on your sponsor for promotion. What you can do for them, especially for big organizations, is to write an invitation email to the event for the sponsor to send to their employees and everyone involved. Sponsors rarely will promote the event they sponsor except internally, between departments under them. Hence, you have to make it easier for them to promote by sending them a template email. You will learn more about sponsors and how to attract them in the next module. Your speakers are an instant leverage. Most likely, they have their own followers, especially if they're renowned and prominent. What you should do is get them to promote the event through their social media accounts such as Facebook and Twitter, and also on their website. Just like for the sponsors, as I've mentioned in the previous slide, you should make the promotion easier for them. You should send them the event poster or link to the event and all the other promotional tools that you've prepared so that the speakers can share them. For truly influential and renowned speakers, their reach might be bigger than yours. When you do the content for all the promotions, whether content for your website, Facebook posts, Twitter posts, and even emails, what you should remember is these magic words: features tell and benefits sell. An event is all about the attendees and their experience. It's more about them than about the speakers or even you. And your promotions share about what the attendees will gain, not only what will be taught, but mostly about what they will experience. Do you always have trouble finding sponsors? Has it been a frustrating and fruitless endeavor? In this module, we're going to put an end to that. Welcome to another module of Event Organizing Made Easy, where you'll learn about sponsors and how to attract them. Before we go any further, why do we need sponsors for our events exactly? Well, the first and obvious explanation would be that they provide financial support. It's always a great idea to have a pillar that will help out on some essentials that would hurt your budgeting. For some events, coordinators may not have the budget on amenities yet, as they would only get returns after the event. So they need money up front. Having sponsors would really help in such situations, and this situation is very common. Also, having established sponsors would make your event more validated. This will help your event with publicity and recognition. With big sponsors especially, you might even get the attention of the media. More people would flock to your event when you have sponsors who are renowned. Before we go into the details of how to attract sponsors, we must first know why is it that big companies sponsor events. When we know what they gain from a sponsorship deal, only can we know how to approach and convince them. One of the reasons why organizers do sponsorships is, of course, brand visibility. It's part of marketing, really. They want their brand to be as visible as possible so that they'll be well known, and this usually brings profit for them. They also want brand recognition. Sponsorships can really help strengthening their brand and image, especially when an event involves charity. The company would be interested to be a part of it. First, because it creates good publicity for them, and also, some companies show support to a certain cause. Another reason why companies would sponsor a certain event is so that they could sample their products. Some sponsors, for example, an isotonic drink company, would request a spot in the ground of the event so that they could distribute their samples to the participants. Just like for the purpose of brand recognition, this allows the sponsor to expand their reach and will help them with profit. Above all else, some companies will sponsor events because they are bound by duty. They all have a corporate responsibility and they have to do sponsorships. In big companies, they have a corporate responsibility department that you can approach when you want to request sponsorships. Now we'll move on to actually approaching sponsors. First of all, you need to find out who in the organization you should approach. With small and medium businesses, there probably won't be any trouble to talk to the business owner directly. But for big corporations, you need to approach a specified department. Usually, for really big corporations, they have a corporate responsibility department. They're usually the charity arm of the company. Or, if the company doesn't have a corporate responsibility department, you can approach the marketing department. They are responsible for the company's image too, so you can bring the proposal for a sponsorship to them. Get in touch with them, then follow their procedure should they have one. Usually, they get a large number of sponsorship requests, so they've established a procedure for all the applications. When you get through to them, you have to give them a reason to sponsor you. Previously, we've explored effective methods in pitching. In appealing to the sponsors, it's quite similar to what you learned in that module. The only difference is that, with sponsors, there's one extra element that you need to have in your pitch: emotional. Remember that you need the sponsors more than they need you. What you can do is leverage on emotions when you request for sponsorship. Emotion is a powerful tool. It's the ultimate connection. This works especially for humanitarian and even animal welfare-related events. You show them that your event is for a bigger purpose. To do this, you can share a story. With stories, you can create sympathy and empathy. It's the only way to use the emotional approach with them. A story is the best way to appeal to them emotionally. It can be someone else's story, or it can even be your story. The important thing is that when you've appealed to them emotionally, the chances of getting a sponsorship are very high. Next, what the sponsors will definitely want to know is who will be attending your event. The demographics of the audience. As discussed in the pitching module, you need to know specifically who they are, including age range, gender, interest, and more. It would be more appealing to the sponsors if your event and the sponsor share the same target audience. You'd have a higher chance of getting their sponsorship if that's the case, as they will always want to expand their market and keep their visibility with their current customers. Next, you'll have to emphasize on what the sponsor would gain from sponsoring the event. As mentioned before, if your event shares the same target audience as the prospective sponsor, then it'd be easier to convince them because they would want to reach out to the same group of people. That would be an obvious gain from this event. If there are other gains from the event, such as a media exposure, tell the sponsors that it would be good publicity for them. When you ask for money, state a specific number. Because of this, you need to really find out what you need from the sponsor. For example, as mentioned way earlier, some amenities need payment up front, and for some events, the returns would only come in after the event itself. So the coordinator needs the sponsor to help them with this particular problem so that the event can take off. In this case, the coordinator makes it clear what is needed from the sponsor. When you pitch for a sponsorship, it's important to keep it short and brief. Present them the key points, like what the event is all about, what is the hook, how much you're spending, and the demographics of the target audience, and also the point that we've just discussed in the previous slide, which is the exact budget that is needed. When you talk about it, just get to the point and finish as soon as you can. Your sponsors are very likely busy. Be respectful and try not to take too much time with them. Lastly, one simple thing that you need to remember is to follow up on the deal. This is not only so that you'll get an answer soon, but also it'll help them to sway towards a favorable decision. If they're quiet, it usually means that they haven't arrived at a decision yet. A simple follow-up like an email or a short phone call could make a big impact in the sponsor's decision-making. Hello, and welcome to How to Turn Your Event Fun and Profitable, the last module of Event Organizing Made Easy. Congrats on making it this far. In this module, we'll share with you tips which you can apply to your event to create a fun, fresh atmosphere and bring in profit. Let's go straight into it now. For the first half of this module, we'll be focusing on increasing the fun element of your event. People dread attending events because oftentimes events just go through the motions. Go creative with your next event. Try shaking things up with a wild theme such as Cuban Carnival or Mardi Gras. Incorporate your theme extensively into decorations, food and beverages, performances, you name it. Have a conga line or hula dancers parade through the audience at break time. The sky's the limit. With themes, it's best to go all out, or the impact will come off as tacky instead of creative. Next, try bending or breaking some common rules. Restrictions and rules are important for events to run smoothly, but there are some which are arbitrary and do not need to be in place. For example, why not do away with traditional dress codes? Get your attendees to swap out suits and ties for something more casual, or get them to dress in line with your theme. You could even hold a best-dressed contest to encourage guests to dress their best. If funding allows it, prepare little bits of costume to hand to attendees when they register, such as colorful beads for Mardi Gras or flower leis for a Hawaiian-themed event. We all know that technology plays a big part in the success of any event. Using technology in innovative ways can spice things up and give the audience something to talk about. Try out silent conferencing maybe, where attendees are given headphones hooked up to the speaker's microphone or laptop. This works great in larger venues where people seated at the edge sometimes need to strain their hearing. Take it one step further and use tablets to display videos or quiz the audience. Give them things to see, touch, hear, taste, and smell for a truly unique experience. People have fun when they feel like a part of something. However, because of the traditional proscenium seating arrangement where audiences are on one side of the hall and presenters are on the other, there exists a lecture-style separation which sometimes gets in the way of the audience's enjoyment of an event. Try to bridge this physical and mental distance by spending 10 to 20% of your time in the seating aisles. Get up close and personal with the audience. You can even opt for a more inclusive seating arrangement. Arrange seats in a circle or triangle with the stage or podium being in the center. Nothing is less fun than attending an event and feeling like you don't fit in. This is why your team should be mingling with guests whenever they can and be on the lookout for wallflowers, the shy ones who keep to the edges of the room. Strike up a conversation with them and find out what they do. Let them know subtly that their attendance is appreciated and help them blend in. Introduce them to other people at your event or pair them up with other wallflowers. Also, being told no is rarely fun, so do refrain from shutting down ideas and opinions when mingling with your guests. Try your best to keep the conversation going. Especially after seminars and conferences, some audiences will want to share their ideas and thoughts. Always hear them out. It might not be fun for you to listen to a 10-minute recap of the seminar you just delivered, but your guests will appreciate your attention and affirmation. One of the best ways to make your event fun is by getting audience participation. Interactive elements add a personal touch to events. Think up games, quizzes, and contests for your audience to participate in, or have product demonstrations with the help of a volunteer audience member. These simple tools can turn a passive audience into an active, interested one. Win the lucky volunteers over even more by rewarding them for their participation with things like gift vouchers and token souvenirs. You won't be able to get everyone on stage to help with demonstrations, so be sure to also encourage lots of cheering and applause during your games and activities. It'll reduce the risk of people feeling left out. You could also get them to vote on the issues you cover in your presentation. This ties in with what was mentioned earlier regarding people wanting their opinions to be heard. One tool that can prime audiences for active participation is preparing a blank canvas or wall for guests to express themselves. Yes, we know this sounds strange, but truthfully, humans cannot resist a bit of sanctioned graffiti. Prepare a blank canvas or wall at the entrance of your venue for guests to leave their signature. Pen down their thoughts on the event, or just showcase their doodling skills. Just remember to keep lots of marker pens and Sharpies on standby. Now that you have a few more ideas for creating a fun event, it's time to get down to the business side of things. We've covered how to sell seats to your event in a previous module, and that will be where the bulk of your profits come from. But there are other things you can do for your event to turn in extra profit. Getting sponsors is the #1 way to make your event profitable. Most sponsors contribute funds that you can use to offset costs or products that you can use as gifts for contests. With sponsored products, you can make profit by listing them as prizes in a raffle. People pay a small amount to purchase numbered tickets, and at an appropriate time in the event, a random number will be selected. The holder or holders of corresponding tickets will win the prize. The best part about raffles is that all the revenue goes directly to your business. Just be sure to consult your sponsors before offering their products as raffle prizes. Another option is renting out advertising space on your publicity collaterals. Invite local businesses to buy ad space for a small fee. You can sell advertising space on your program books, tickets, flyers, even your website. Basically any media which is accessible to your audience. However, keep in mind that you have sponsors to advertise as well, and ensure that the advertisement space that you rent out does not overshadow that of your sponsors. On top of this, you can also utilize any extra floor space at your event by lending it to local businesses to set up exhibition booths or sales booths for a small percentage cut of their revenue. This, of course, has to be done tactfully, as you do not want the booths to pull audience away from your main event. Also, if your event is in a commercial building such as a hotel or mall, do check with the revenue manager on their policies before making any deals with third parties. Another way to increase your profits at events is to offer exclusive promotions to your attendees. Depending on the nature of your business, consider selling discounted packages exclusively for ticket holders of your event. You could also consider offering an online discount code if you have an online store. The validity of these promotions can be either while stocks last or for only the next 7 days following your event. This will motivate your attendees to make purchases before it's too late. If you have another upcoming event which is already confirmed, perhaps offer admission at discounted rates as well. This will work best if your next event ties in with the one you are currently executing. For example, if you're delivering a business seminar and the following seminar is pertaining to internet marketing, there's a strong likelihood that your audience will be interested. Speaking of tying in, see if you can strike up any tie-in promotions with a nearby cafe or restaurant. Eateries in the immediate vicinity should be interested in collaborating as long as they can see themselves benefiting from such a partnership. Put a promotion in place whereby purchasing your product could entitle your guests to a 10% off at so-and-so cafe, with any purchase above a certain amount. While products and material goods are great, studies show that experiences have more value. A signed autograph from an author is great, but having a conversation with one is better. Look at ways for you and your event to build on this. You could sell slightly higher priced tickets that allow admission to an after party where ticket holders can meet and mingle with the top performers from your event. If an after party sounds like too much hassle, offer a quick backstage tour or special meet and greet privileges to guests who are willing to purchase tickets with marked up prices. If your event highlights a famous speaker or a revered author, Perhaps sell premium VIP tickets, which entitle ticket holders to a private dinner with that speaker. Or instead of selling tickets, hold an auction where the highest bidder gets a one-on-one dinner with the speaker of their choosing. Your guest speakers should be agreeable to this, granted they get a cut of the ticket price or auction bid.